Okay, let's pick up. We introduced last week, you're probably going to finish it soon, not much less to do, a Mitzvas Aseh of din mekach umemkar. Or tzoloima aponim bom yiskayim hamecher bein hamoicher v'akoinen. It's between two parties, whether it includes kinyan from Hefker or we have to know, and moichen koine might not be matana, so we have to know. Does Ram have a separate set of halachas of schia matana? Because of this is a very interesting question. We didn't touch on it last week. I don't have much to say. And say it. Okay, so yeah. Ukva lochuraya al ela ponim, and that there are set ways to be koine from the pasuk is simple memkol amisech. Amru dova niknemi adiyad kloima hamishich, and this pasuk is for the Mashiach. And then the Ram says it's the opposite. Kvas ames, we know the emes is shedvater mos koines, and it's not Mashiach. Usha Mashiach metatlin takonis achom. Chen Mesiu Agbo is all one din. Wabei Omu v'kederch shetiknu Mashiach b'lekuch loichen kach tiknu Mashiach b'shosham. Another raya that Mashiach is a drabon. In his boilecho sheyoshim matzrichen hamashiach memkorim yuminei shehi takona kamo she is boy memkorim. Okay. Then it says ulam shar upon him. We said it includes shar upon him shekoinim bohem akakois v'zulosam, because there it's upon him. In metalton there's only one way, which is mashiach or mos. But in kakoyes, there's more than one way. And therefore, even though in the original Arabic, it's hutzrach loimer haderech or hapan asher bom yiskayim hamecher, because we're talking about metaltal. And then the psukim later, asher behem hakakoyes zulosam kloima shtava chazoka, which might also include kesef. Heim somchu esom v'ksuvim gamkein. And the word gamkein is very interesting. It's like almost an equation. And the somchu l'chera is something real, as we pointed out, I think, in the discussion of the Arabic last week. Okay, so just before we start, I'd like to share a problem, which I don't know the answer to. I hope, someday in the near future to know the answer. The question is, what is this mitzvah? What does God want us to do? Okay. Sometimes you have a tzivui, which is an amar, which is the kiyum. And here, it's a hoira, and it's only a din. Okay? It's only a din. Okay. So, the question is, okay, is the din. So the din that you're going to metalton either Mashiach or Kes or Mos, depending on B'yichan Rishlokish. We paskin like a B'yichanon, so it's Mos. And then Kalka, you're going to be Kesef, Shtar, and Chazok. Okay. And there's no kiyum. Okay. So, okay, for example, let's just start. Slowly, there is a This is a shrana, this mitzvah. There's a shrana, on the Torah, called Hafos Ladon. Okay? So there is that what happens if you want the neder to be mufa, either the Av or the Baal is Mefer. And L'cheira, okay, and if you want a kinyan to between a L'keich and a Meicher, it's either metaltalin is kesef or mos or mashicha, depending upon birchon lishlokish, or in kalka it's kesef star and chazok, according to everyone. Okay. So my confusion is the following: it's really double. I have no clue of what to say. When the Chachomim introduce a takon of Mashiach, okay, so are they obviating the mitzvah? The mitzvah is the derech darkei kniya, either the oifanei kniya or the drochim of kniya, and the drochim are kesef, shtar, chazok, and kalka, and kesef or mos and metaltalin. So if you come and say Mashiach, you're obviating the mitzvah. So is something changed? Is there's no kiyum, but that's the din. And the Rabbanan, so what do they say? They say hefka bez and hefka, and it depends upon this issue with the Rashba and that whatever it is in Gittin, today is the Gemara, where the hefka only takes away from someone, could give to somebody else. Because the chayre is, if you can't take from someone and give to somebody else, the chayre have nothing. Because it's mekho memko, it goes from party A to party B. So one could have said that really Mashiach, they didn't do anything. You have to give kesef, and we say that we don't. The kinyan is not complete until you do a Mashiach also. But they won't mevatel kesef, as we said last week from the Rav, the Raya, that the in Trumas that there's afkof from King Kasboy with the kesef by itself. Okay, beseder. So that's all that it is really, and Mashiach by itself, L'chayr is also kinda. It's either the Nofak Azuze or not Nofak Azuze. That's a question whether you can mavatal the kinyan or not. It shows that he's not serious about the kinyan, but L'chayr. So what happened over here? If there are clear ways, how can Chazal make a takona which is takona is antithetical to the mitzvah itself, because the Torah is specifying ways. There's another way of saying it, but that's a whole different approach. I'm not sure the words in the Rambam work out that way. That really, the Torah is not makbid about which derech it is. It's just to be a system of meko memko, and the Ram tells us a system in kalka and a system in metaltalin and kalka. If that's the case, so if the Rabbanon, whether it's the Torah system or Rabbanon system independent, irrelevant, then everything changes. Is that the way to go? That's what we have to think about over here. What does it mean in context of this mitzvah that there's a takana? Isn't it antithetical to the whole idea? But we don't know what it means. We don't know what it means as antithetical. In other words, is even though so example, try like this, okay? Second. Yeah. Huh. Be over here. Yeah. He should see on the Reish Lamed base. We did have a Knaini. Okay. Excuse me. I'm sorry. That's everybody. Sorry. Should be right before. What do you have to? It's 1 second. Yeah. I mean, Reish Lamed Hey. He should have voted there with Kanani, who Chenavad by Leoil, Shein boy Cheris, Ela B'Shem V'Ai. V'Omer Yis'aleh, Roshei, Evo, V'Chulei, V'Omer Yis'aleh, Lo Mem Tabon, V'Chiyak, Kol V'Loshen Gmo, Gitin, Kol Meshachre Avdoi, Oiva B'Aseh, Tichsiv Lo Mem Tavoido. So, the Ram is machadish a new thing, that there could be, even though in a shrana in din evet knaini, there even though there's no kiyum, but there could be an isaseh. Okay, that means that someone who obviates the din of the ben tavoidu is an isaseh. So if you obviate kinyonim and you do something else, could you imagine isaseh? So you could have, but then what does it mean at Takonas Achamim? We have no idea what's going on. That's what it's saying. If you can, the Chachamim can make whatever they want, so there really no drachim miuchadim for Kenyan. So that's going to require a lot of work. Okay, and I have to think about this. And we have to ask ourselves another question. What about the other Drachei Kenyan, which are not mentioned over here? Lamosho, Chalipin. Okay. Setumta, is it really a Kenyan? Okay, or is it not a Kenyan? What is it exactly? Okay. Chalipin, Setumta, Agav. That also requires some interpretation because if Lamaisa, then what we're saying is there's Darkei Kniya, and these are the Darkei Kniya. So what is it? Is the main point over here? I'll just leave you one more question. Just we'll have to go and continue and understand what this like. Is the main point over here? And we're not interested. See, if you learn the second way, there should be a system. It's not that it should be this that Meisakin as opposed to the other one, even though he's making a big deal about it over here. But it should be as the Ram opens up in Perik Aleph, because Mechir Alocha Aleph, that the Mekach not Nikna Bedibo. You need a Meisakin. And that's the main point. Okay. Next. Now, We have another problem over here. It says, "Hine somchu oisom shtar v'chazoko leksuvim gam kein." So we don't understand how can an asmachta be a source for mitzvah mitzvahs. But der klal asmachta is a remes for din d'Rabbanan. And even if it's an asmachta for din d'Raisa, as I don't know if I mentioned this week, it might be the Ram uses this word for a real source, not just Amasmachta Balmo. And there's a whole list of thinking the places where the Ram uses this word. It's as denusa that he uses. It's in Pirush Mishnayis and Zroim. It's a makor for a Pirush Makubal, and Halacha Mishmesina is only an Asmachta Ba'almo. In the Mishnah Chala and Perek Aleph Halacha Aleph, it's the source for the Chamesh Zaminim. In the Pirush Mishnah Yuma, Perek Ches Halacha Aleph, it's the Kabbalah for the Chamishi Nuyim. In the Pirush Mishnah in Menachos is the various things that are Maknu Zeh. It's Kil the Makor, like Shnei Sirim, Yom Kippurim, Maknu Zeh. In Minyan Mitzvah, Loisasech Beis, it's the Makor for the Kabbalah that the Azhar of Loisachmoid, Kesev Vizov Aleim, is the Isa Hanof and Sipui Avodah Zorah. So, if this is like an asmachta, the question is this an asmachta that you can use Yud Gimel Midas for? If it's Yud Gimel Midas, so then you have to say the Briskelov Shtickle Teira that that you can expand the mitzvah through Yud Gimel Midas once you have a mitzvah. However, if the pshat is that it's a Pirush Makubal, so then you're okay. But we have that problem, which we mentioned last week. Hanicha, that you talk about a kinyan of Chazokov, the Arashta with the is the Gemara says in Kedushin. It might be a pasuk in the Torah, even though I mentioned another pasuk. Okay, but it might be a pasuk in the Torah. But when it comes to shtar, all it says shtar minolon ilema mishum dichsiv v'kosav asev v'chosum void edim, which is the pasuk that Ram quotes. It's a pasuk in Yirmiyah. Ram Pirush Mishnayis quotes it. So, how can a pasuk in Yirmiyah? It could be a Kabbalah that, like Allah Sinai, is the Gemara says in Tainis, Yechesem Moshe Rabbeinu lo Yechesem Luzim Minayin. Good, but it could be it's a Kabbalah from Moshe Rabbeinu. But the question is, what's the source in the pasuk? Because you don't have a source in a pasuk in Torah, only in the Nevi'im. Is Eila, so it's only a pure, unadulterated Kabbalah. It's like Allah Sinai Smachta. So how good? So it could be that it's based, and there's a real basis in the pasuk in Yirmiyah, but the best you can do is a Kabbalah, which is not rooted in Torah. It's only rooted in the Nevi'im Ksuvim, and it's like the pasuk in Nach telling you the Chamesh Laminim, and the Ram also uses the same word. The question is, Nicha, the way Biskov says that you give me this, you can make as part of a mitzvah, you can expand the mitzvah. But can you use a plain Kabbalah from Sinai? Which is Aloha Mashru Sinai. You can expand the mitzvah with it. Is that what can happen? I think what you probably have to investigate, and you have to look at all in Chutz La'aretz, it's Aloha Mashru Sinai, and it's Machlokes, the Rambam, and the Geinim, if there's Ruvo in Chutz La'aretz. And the question is it a separate Kabbalah, or is it expanding things? And maybe the question is, you have to look, see what he says there and see how it squares over here, or maybe you can machalik. We'll have to see. Okay? That is this. Okay. Okay, beseder. Right. Let's go on. Just wanted to share with you, you could have a mitzvah which is a din, but the question is, especially over here, what is it mechayiv? Okay, now, next, I like to go back to mitzvah Reish Chav Daled. HaMitzvah, VaMitzvah Ho'arba V'esrim U'Mosayim. He shetzivonu, here is very important. This is an amal. This is not a shrano. This is a real bona fide command. It's not a din. It's a regular mitzvah. There's a kiyum, and he shetzivonu lahakis b'tzua. And it's a mitzvah on Bezdin to mitzvah Einshe Bezdin. Now, it says, Lahaka is B'Ritzua. If you want to know what this Ritzua is, the Rambam explains it in Hilchos Sanhedrin, in Perek Tezayin Aloha Ches. Okay. This is the Ritzua. Es ha'oivrim al mitzvos miyuchados, on certain oivrim al mitzvos miyuchados. Ibn Tibin or kapach musiyamos, specific mitzvahs. And the pasuk is v'omo yisala v'pilu hashoifet v'hikohu. V'hipilo hashofet v'hikohu. And the shofet is mapel him whatever it is, and he hits. And this is the source for the Mitzvas Malchus, not of the Rambam here in Minyan HaMitzvos, but also in the Minyan HaKotzer, and also in Hilchos Sanhedrin in Perek Tezayin, Halacha Aleph. And let's now hear the important thing is to understand the parasha. Understand the parasha. Let's now see. The parasha goes like this. It's in Dvorim Chaf Hey, from Pasuk Aleph to Gimel. Ki yiyeh riv bein anoshim. There's a fight. And the question is, what this fight, and what do we mean by this? Ki yiyeh riv bein anoshim, v'nigshu el ha-mishpot. And they come to a judge for mishpat, v'shaftum, and the judge judges them. V'tzdiku es ha-tzadik, and the judge says that tzaddik is a tzaddik, and this other guy is a rasha. One of them is a tzaddik, and one of them is a rasha. Okay. Then it says, "V'hoyo im bin hakreis harosha, v'pilu hasheif v'kol lefonov kedei rishos b'mispar. Aboim yakenu lo Yosef and Yosef al eila makarabo v'nikre ochichel einech." So then it says that there's Malchus, and for this story, ki yariv bein anoshim v'tzdiku es hatzadik v'shir harosha, or im bin hakreis harosha. That is the source of this mitzvah. So the shaila is, Namban asked the question. Dvorim Chaf Hey Aleph, the Ramas here live bein anoshim. He asks, how can you learn Malchus from a person who violates a law, from a story of a sichsuch between two people? And l'cheira, the akol, we don't know what it's about. So l'cheira, one would have assumed that this is a riv about mammon, and it's nothing to do with a person who is over chayv elavim. So how can this be the source of the din of chayv elavim, and that the malchus of chayv elavim? See here, the Gemara Makis on Beis and Beis interprets that the Rasha in the Parsha is an Eid Zoymen. And according to the Rambam in Shiur Sheni, you need explicit pasuk or pirush makubal on the pasuk to be a mitzvah and a minyan. So l'chera, in the Parsha itself, we don't see any hint that the Malchus is because of Eid Zoymim, and that the Ashara is Nalav of Eid Sheker. So how could the Rambam learn from this pasuk, there's a mitzvah malchus on Oiva Chai Ve'Lavim. So what the Ramban does over here is the Ramban says, the Ramban, let's say, assumes, he postulates there's no other way to interpret this pasuk. Because if the thrust of the pasuk is a machlokes about Momon, what does it mean? V'tztiko es hatzadik, v'shir es harosha. What's v'tztiko es hatzadik? See how the Ramban asks the question in other issues. So he says that it's the way you balkochuk, you have to interpret logically that the pasuk is talking about the Geula in Makis is interpreting it, the Beis Beis, that we're referring to a sichsuch, and there was an Eidus, an aid came, and he became a Zoymem, and the Malchus is because of the lav of Eidus Sheker. And maybe since, so you have to say, maybe you don't need, since you can't, you have to look in the Ramban, you can't learn the pasuk any other way. So maybe you don't even need a Pirush Makubal. This becomes Pshat and pasuk. And the Rambam, on the base of this, also would learn that this, see, either can say this is the Pshat and the pasuk, or this is a remez enough for a Pirush Makubal, and there's a Kabbalah. And therefore, since it's a Chai Ve'Lavim, Fei the Sheker, v'chulei, so who adin, other Chai Ve'Lavim, and this is Makor for the mitzvah. One can ask a question that the Gemara says in Makis, Remish le'edim zoymemin. Omar Ula, Remish le'edim zoymemin, in Beis Mabei shaloikin min ha'teira, minayin, tichsi v'tzik v'tzad v'shius harosha, v'im bin ha'kois harosha v'chule. But don't we learn in Shiur Shlishi that the Lashon Remish, according to the Rambam, in Chazal, is basically the Asmachta Ba'almo? So how can you learn that this is a Pirush of the Kra, or a Pirush, a source of Pirush Makubal? And the emissary is the Ramban is from this in Shiur Shlishi on the Rambam. How could be Eidim Zoyim Shlikim in Atera? And this, he brings a raya that Remes doesn't mean Asmacht Baum, but the Rambam says Remes is Asmacht Baum. So the answer to this, according to the Rambam, is that Remes is not Pshuta Shomikra. And the Remes, even though it's not Pshuta Shomikra, it could be the Pirush of the Kra. If you can't understand the pasuk without it. And I think the most important point is Chazal, a makpid over here, to say remez min hatera. And this gives the teeth. It's not a remez ba'almo as going with a kasva. It's a remez min hatera. And the Rambam says very clearly in Shiur Sheni min hatera means tera. There's some clear thing. So it's either this is the Pirush of the Pasuk or it's a Kabbalah. And there's a clear basis. It's not a smach ba'almo. Similarly, we see in the Mitzvas Kvura in Reish Lamed Aleph, Chazal say that it's a remez min hatera. In Sanhedrin Mevov Beis, Omer B'Yechanom, Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, remez l'kfur min hatera minayin, Tamalom Mikkovet Tikbueno, Mikan remez l'kfur min hatera. And to mitzvah min haminyan. Also the mitzvah skvura on the mitzvah skvura on stam a person, not who get bezdin, is very difficult to understand. The pasuk, to say the pasuk is only referring to Haugi Bezdin, the Poshta base, you don't have to bury, is very difficult. And that's the remes that, according to, logically difficult to accept. So that's a remes for the mitzvah kvura al koivim. Okay. So the tzaddik and the Rasha is Malchus because he ate a sheker. And we learn from this in general, Chai Lavim, a Chai Malchus. Vihine, 1 second. This is just a stomach question. Since the source of the mitzvah is Eid Sheker, so it's very odd that the archetype of we learn out that the Chayve Malkios from Chsima and not from Eid Sheker. Why should the mitzvah be learned out from X and the archetype, the prototype, the model for where your Chayv Malchus is from Y? Okay. Certainly, they learned out from Chsima as opposed to the lav of Eid Sheker, because we want a lav sheish boy Maisa. And we want Chsima and doing the Chsima. So Adarabba, maybe because of this, the Rambam Pirush Mishnah in Makis Per Gimel Soif Mishnah Aleph says, even though a priori one would have said there's no Maisa in Eid Sheker, it's only Dibu Ba'almo. But since you Moisa the Eidus and Bezdin, it's Nechshav, we look at it, Ki'ilu Yesh Bo Maisa. So L'chei, what he's doing is flipping it. Since it's Malchus for Eid Sheker, so Mela, you must say that it's doing the Chsima, and there's a Maisa. It's amazing. This postulate that the Malchus is for Averis Halav of Eid Sheker, and an Oynish Miyuchad for the Lav of Eid Sheker, is very difficult. Because one would have said that it's not an Oynish for Eid Sheker, for Lav. The Haraya, that Malchus Eid Sheker ain't a Tzvik Asra. As the Ram says in Hilchos Eidus, Perek Yud Ches Halacha Dalet. Because this Malchus is different than Chayshach, other Chayvei Lavin, that you require Asra. Because Malchus in other Chayvei Lavin is an Onish for my Savera. And therefore, you require Asra. But the Malchus Ve'ed Mezoimim is not for my Savera. And therefore, you don't require Asra. And L'chera, there's a raya from Rober's opinion in Baba Kama Ayin Beis Lebeis, She'ed Zoim Mikan Labahad, Mikan Labahabo Nifsal, and not Mishas the Maisal Godes Eidus, where there's an Averis Halav, Ela Mishas Azoma. And from this we see that the Psul is not because of Averis Halav as an other Chayvei Lav. So why don't we say that the Mechayiv is also not the Maisavera? You don't require Asra. So it's a very odd thing. We just take the opposite conclusion that the Psul is not because of the Maisavera, but the Chiyuv Malchus is because of the Maisavera. And since this is the source, it must be like Chsima. It's a very odd thing. But, we can have polemics back and forth, whether the Malchus for the Maisavera or not. It is true the Psul is not because of the Maisavera, but there's an incontrovertible proof, according to the Rambam, that the Malchus of Eidim Zoimim is because of Leisa'ana. And that's all we need. How do I know this? The Rambam in Perek Yutes of Hilchos Sanhedrin Alocha Dalet, Kol Leisa'ase Shebatera She'ein behen lo kores v'lo misas bezdin Shaloi kan alein kuf samaches ve'eluhein. So it means this whole list of 168 lavim are all case where the malchus is because of Averis Halav. So comes Kuf Lamed, and the Ram says, Ein Zoimim she'ein boy tashlumin. One could speculate that maybe because of this, the Ram learns not like Rava, that eight Zerma Lemafreu Nifsal, because it's for the Maisavera, and that's the Malchus about. But the truth is, we're still back to where we started. Why doesn't eight Zerma require Hasra for Malchus? If it's a Malchus Maisavera, Lacher there should have been Hasra. Now, next. The Rambam works with the following postulate that which he establishes in Shirish Yudalid that every type of Einish is a mitzvah and a minion. The Daled Mises Bezdin are separate mitzvahs because of different types of Einish. The Einish of Malchus is a separate mitzvah. Okay. The Bahag says we don't count Einshin. And that's what the Ramban quotes in Shirish Yudalid. Va'achzol lahashtem kavonis ba'alochos b'oin she'alavim hu reye. Okay. Hu reye shelo yimnu ha'ein she'en klal lo b'mitzvos lo yisaseh v'lo b'mitzvos aseh. And the Rambam says, and this is more barichas in Shirish Yudalid, but that this is a mitzvah is based on Shirish Yudalid. The Rambam learns that and again, this also an issue of Shirjadal, it's short. The Ram learns that all Malchus is one mitzvah because it's the Sugoinish. Rav Sadi Goin learns each type of Einish is a separate mitzvah. But Rav Sadi Goin only does this in Mises Bezdin, where the Torah talks about each one separately. But in Malchus, it's a general rule doing the chesima. You're not going to count the Malchus of each individual one separately. Now, let's continue. So we just mentioned the pasuk of the pilu hashofet v'kol. V'hinei nilmois b'zochreinu mitzvos lo yisaseh. Nilmois is la'oireh with ma'ira on it, or noyer or kapach, or anybody la'oireh. It's we're going to make reference to. Nilmo is a very strange word that Ibn Tibban uses. B'zochreinu, Nilmo is b'zochreinu. What it means is that in each ashora, in minyan mitzvahs, where there's malchus, the Rambam will mention that there's Malchus. Nilmaz b'zochreinu b'mitzloisa ish loisa says sheyesh bo Malchus. The Rambam will say there's Malchus. Al oison HaMitzvos she's chayva olei and Malchus. Because Malchus is only on Mitzvas loisa, not Mitzvas Aseh. And the Ram says it also in Mishnah Torah, in Hilchos Sanhedrin. We read it basically before for some different purpose. In Perek Yud Tes Halacha Daled, Kol Leisa says Shabbat Torah, She'ein Ben Lokoris, V'Limises Bezdin, She'loiken Aleim Kuf Samach Ches V'Eluhein. Ukvar is boye mishpatei mitzvazo meseches makis. Now, next. Mitzvah reish chav hei. HaMitzvah achomesh v'esrim umosayim. Hi shetzivonu Lohoitzi make nefesh b'shegegah me'iroi, to Lohoitzi. First of all, this is an amar. It's a mitzvah regila. It's not a din. It's not a shram. In even Eoiv and Kapach, it's lahaglos, and that's much better. It's very clear. It's not lahotzi, take them out. It's lahaglos make nefesh b'shegegah me'iroi, from his city li'ir miklot. Now here, just to get an idea of what's going on, the רוצach has to move 3 times. As the Ram says in Hilchos רוצach Shmir Nefesh, Perek Hey Halacha Zayin Ches. Lonus, one is lonus, to go from the Ori Miklot. Excuse me. To go to the Ori Miklot for Klita before the Mishpat. Secondly, to come from the Ori Miklot to his city where there is the Mishpat. And the third time is to return the רוצach to the Ori Miklot. The Rambam is stressing that the mitzvah is only after the Psak Din that is Chayev Golus and Bezdin that is Chayev Golus. The third trip, the first time he's just running to save his life. They bring him back to the ear in order to have the mishpat. But the chiyuv lahaglos is after the Psak Din that is רוצach b'shegegah. And the first 2 trips, the trip to the Ori Miklot to save his life before the Mishpat, and the trip from the Ori Miklot back to the city for the Mishpat, is nothing to do with the mitzvah. Now, a very interesting thing I pointed out in Rambam, that this mitzvah is an amar. It means a regular mitzvah. There's a kiyum b'chule. The Rambam in Shiur Shvi'i says this mitzvah is a shrana, is a din. Horos hakosu. It's a mitzvah. There's no kiyum. The Ram learns that the whole parsha, Bamidbar Lamed Hey, from Posik Tes to Posik Chof Tes, is coming to explain and tell us the dinim of Golos. And the Rambam there brings 14 tzivuyim, separate commands about a Horeg B'Shegeg and what the dinim are. And the dinim of Horeg B'Shegeg is the din of Horeg B'Shegeg Kol L'Mezid. And the tzivuyim, and also the tzivuyim that veshivu oisai ho'edo eliu miklotoi v'yoshem bo ad mois hakoyin agodo, which is also a din, part of the shchana. But this only happens in Horeg B'Shegeg. And then Horeg B'Mezid, he says that the Goyal Adam could kill him. If he's Shegeg Kol L'Mezid, even though we don't paskin that he's Chayim Misa, but he's subject to the Goyal Adam, and he has no klita. The Rambam in Shir Shvi learns all the laws in the parsha. Hein about Shegeg Mamish, Hein about Shegeg Kol L'Mezid, and what the dinim are, and all the different laws in the parsha. It's all one mitzvah. Here, in Minyan HaMitzvos, it's an Amar, and the mitzvah is Vayeshev Shom Ad Mois HaKoyin HaGodol. It's just being in the Ori Mikvah. All the laws are irrelevant, because the mitzvah is not the laws. The mitzvah is the kiyum of Golos. The question over here, and this I want to leave to you, we'll leave this. The Rambam quotes Malchus, and after this mitzvah Resh Chof Hei is the Daled Mises Bezdin. Is the Rambam trying to tell you that Golos is also from Einshe Bezdin? Lahagos and Mitzvah Shem, we'll pick this up next week.